Hi everybody, you might remember this is where we left off last time, having started a main bus, somewhat a traditional main bus on our planet of Gleba here. We've got a traditional smelting setup, the beacons, we've got it all converging nicely into a main bus system where we just started green circuits at the end of last episode. Well, this is not going to last for long. I decided between episodes this has got to go. The main reason for that is because I noticed as the products were trickling onto the bus here, my main issue was not the fact that I just didn't have enough ore getting produced by my biochambers up here with the bacteria cultivation, but more so that the bacteria wasn't spoiling fast enough. So that meant the ore was just barely trickling in and really only having a couple of the furnaces smelting at any given time, unless in a situation like this where I have the ore kind of backed up because the furnaces have been turned off for quite some time. So this needs to get improved upon, and I've decided between episodes how to do that is probably just to scrap the whole thing and start fresh. And how I'm going to do that and replace it is going to be with foundries instead. I think that's going to be the best use of my supplies and probably the best way to get a proper flow of iron and copper coming in via the molten components. So let's see how I'm going to do that with foundries is I actually built a new ferry system here on my platforms. I labeled them ferries because they're just going to go between planets. This one is currently getting built. This one here, though, is done. It's a different version of a platform. All the others have been identical for travel between the planets, but this is a new one that I built off camera. This actually uses nuclear fuel to power the steam turbines, and that powers the laser turrets that kill off the asteroids and stuff. So it's a little more sophisticated platform setup, and this is just going to be for the sole purpose for now of ferrying between planets for supplies and things like that. So I do have calcite on here. I don't have any foundries yet, though. We'll have to send that back to Vulcanus at some point, and we'll have to put in some different conditions and things like that as far as when to go back and forth. But for now, since I know I need the calcite to get the molten copper and iron, let's get a better way to request that from this planet, and that is going to be with the cargo landing pad. Where I'm going to put that, I'm thinking of putting it nearby the sushi looping thingy here, because I don't know that there's actually a reason to have the rocket fuel end up going onto the main bus after all. So let's basically just bring the rocket silo and the cargo landing pad to my sushi bus instead of my sushi bus to the other stuff. So where is... I did build a rocket silo between episodes at some point, so here it is. Let's plop that down right there, and also the nice thing about this is that this way we can bring the belts worth of the science packs and have less spoil and get backed up on the belts. So we'll do that eventually. But for now, let's have rocket fuel just easily get going into that, and looks like we need to filter that since it shares a lane with the plastic. So we want rocket fuel there, and I already have plastic going into that. So let's put the cargo landing pad just adjacent to that. Where did that go? Here it is. Cargo landing pad right there. So we can have our cargo landing pad request calcite. How much of it, I'm not sure, but I think I have 1,000 on the platform, so we'll request 1,000 for now, and then we'll have the calcite get delivered to some belt lanes that will go into some foundries and stuff like that. I am going to filter out the calcite just in case we get other products coming in here eventually. And let's be smart about this and use, what do you call this? A buffer box. Yep, a buffer chest. And then we'll continue the calcite somewhere around here. And since foundries do a much better job of plate production, we can, I think, demolish all, if not most, of this stuff. In fact, I hate to do it, but we will demolish it. It's just kind of hard to demolish stuff that I literally just placed down last episode. It just feels kind of wasteful, but there's no point keeping stuff that really doesn't work that's only gonna literally get me off the planet, but not actually sustain a good amount of science production, which is what I'm ultimately going to need at some point. So I think how I'm going to change this will be the better way. So let me clean up these lanes here real quick. And calcite will need to feed into the foundries for copper and molten iron. So let's see if we can just kind of share a lane. In fact, I guess we just can have it go right here. Foundries, I only have a couple, or maybe there's more in the system, who knows. Let's place our first foundries maybe right here and there. And I think we can do some beacons. There we go. Like that. We'll put speed modules in them. Oh, like so. Okay. So calcite will go in like this. And then we need this. So this will be iron. We can do this one for copper like that. And I'm not sure how many of the foundries we'll need, but we can do, I guess, just one for now, because we also need the iron and copper ore, and that's, I think, going to be my bottleneck. So we can add basically as many foundries as we can supply iron ore or copper ore to them. Since my iron ore and copper ore is actually lower down, I am going to just move these things. So we'll move them, what about right there, smack in the middle. We'll get rid of the beacons I just placed down because they will not fit in this little area, but we can place them somewhere else eventually later on. Calcite right there should complete the belt. I can get rid of that now. Put that there. Okay, so I do want some tanks for the molten products to go into. And that way we can also measure them if we need to. I don't know if we will, but I like tanks for that purpose. I'm not sure if we'll need pumps, but I can add pumps later if we need to. We'll just do like that. Perfect. And then I just need the iron and copper. So we can clean up this stuff. In fact, I don't need this anymore, so we can get rid of this thing. Oh, it just feels so wasteful. Get rid of that. We can get rid of this. I think we'll just have it branch off like this, honestly, for the iron. And then that will carry on to feed the concrete build. And now we have our first bits of the molten iron. Now we just have to bring over the copper. We can do that from up above, like this. Perfect. All right, those are our new molten products. Already getting some molten iron. I'm not sure if that's considered a lot or not. We can definitely expand on this too, which is nice. So now I just have to substitute the smelting setup that I just got rid of with foundry versions instead. How I want to do that, let's see. Do I want beacons? I at least want to leave room for beacons. So maybe we'll just use that as placeholders for now, where we could potentially have room for that. And it would need to go thereabouts. So let's do this one for iron. This will need molten iron to come from here, like that. And like that. And then we can continue this upwards kind of indefinitely. It might be worth it to mirror this. I'm kind of hemming and hawing about that, but just for the sake of completion, let's mirror that on the other side, and that way we can have a fully condensed blue belt of iron plate, assuming we have enough of the molten iron to feed into it. Whoops, let's move that down so it can feed back there. Get rid of that. And then we'll need power, of course. This will continue on to the other side like this. Let's bring it power like so. And like that. And insert on the other side. And then we will copy those beacons right there. Cool. That is iron plate done. Now we'll do the same thing but with copper, and we might just end up moving all of this. In fact, I won't yet, but it looks like that's probably what I'm going to have to do here soon. We can get rid of those. This will become a copper version of it. Copper will pull from here like that. This becomes casting copper. And then we will mirror this as well. In fact, I'm just going to change out the recipe here so this becomes copper. Okay, cool. Put in the pipes, add it over here. And now this is tileable and scalable. We will connect this up. And then looks like I will have to move this little green circuit build, so we are basically demolishing almost everything. Get rid of that. I am debating putting copper cable onto the bus, which I think might be worth to do because copper cable will go into green circuits and red circuits. So maybe let's do that next. We'll do that with other foundries as well. Copper cable just takes molten copper. Cool. So we'll move that. Oh, and that should move over a tile like that. There we go. We'll mirror this too. In fact, let's just copy this and then just trade out the recipe. There we go, there we go. And we need power, like so. Cool. We will add this into the bus. We'll put the copper cable adjacent to the copper plate section for now. In fact, probably worth it to just delete all of that stuff, and we'll basically start fresh with our plans for moving the bus along. Add power back into that for now, though, so that way the bots can help us out. Okay, we'll add in some more beacons, like so. And then I plan to add more foundries upwards if I can afford them, but for now, especially with the beacon bonuses, we'll see how much these can build for me. I do want to put in productivity modules at the very least with as many of the products in the foundries as possible. We're there, and so on. So next things we can do is make a proper green and red circuit build now at this point, since now we have copper cable on the bus. Let's clean that up a little bit. So for green circuits, let's grab that. Green circuits, let's keep that in line here. Let's do, actually, copper cable can come through here, like that. And then all we need to bring back is going to be the iron plate. And then let's already think about mirroring this. And then that will continue the bus as well, like that. just want to give myself a touch of room. There we go. So that will be green circuit output. This will be the iron plate coming up like this. We'll branch it off here. And it will go up like that. Then let's do inserter there, inserter, inserter, long-headed output, and like that. We'll give it power there. Copy over the recipe, and then we'll branch off the copper cable again right here. Except let's move that just one tile over. And then I'm not sure if this full lane of copper cable is enough to start feeding into a red circuit build, but let's just see how far we can take it. And then if needed, what I will do is add it on more copper cable foundries, and then we can have a separate lane just feed directly into red circuits and just kind of bypass the whole green circuit build to begin with. But, oh, I'm missing a belt. Right there. There we go. Okay, so red circuits, what will I do with red circuits? I need to join up green circuits and plastic. Plastic I have here, which is shared with the rocket fuel, but I don't know that I need the rocket fuel on the bus, like I said. So maybe this just becomes a plastic filter like that. I will clean up all of the rocket fuel from the belt eventually. Probably don't have to worry about it right now though. So let's join up green circuits and plastic like, let's see, like this. We'll join it up here. No, let's move that over like that. Whoops. This becomes underground. And then plastic join it up like that. Okay, cool. I didn't leave really room for beacons, but I could put that maybe here. Do I have room? So if this is red circuits, I realistically probably can't afford a full blue belt's worth of red circuits, so I think this will be okay to fit beacons in there, and then we won't worry about mirroring it. I do want to put in modules though. We'll put in that there. Oops. Make this a long-headed inserter like that. And now we will have red circuits. Whoops. We continue the bus along like that. Continue that. Except I said I wanted to clean the belt here, so we will just filter out all of the rocket fuel off of the line and clean it up that way. There we go. So that will take a minute, but that's okay because we're still working on giving this power and stuff like that. But as soon as we get plastic, it will go into that. Let's see. I'm just going to add another one like that. Looks like, oh, that might be the last of the rocket fuel. Okay, that was faster than expected. Okay, now we will delete that. Split off the plastic here. And there we go. Now we have plastic. And now we'll have red circuits. So, what else could we foundry up? Low density structures would be really easy to do. Let's do that. And steel, I didn't think about that. Steel, we can maybe add just below here. I might just worry about doing that off camera. Low density structures, let's put here, just below the copper plate production. So we will delete this stuff and delete that, and we'll just redo the whole thing. No need for you guys to see the boring stuff. Not that all of this is super interesting, and not that all of this isn't boring sometimes. But we'll just move on to the low density structures next. Low density structures. Let's fit in room for beacons as well. Can that go up a tile and still give room? Yes. Okay. Low density structures like that. That also requires plastic. I can get rid of these. Actually, let me just delete this and replace the line so I can see more clearly. Okay, so how do I want to do this? Since we actually do need both molten iron and copper, but I want the option to mirror this if needed. So maybe we just do something like that. Yeah, okay. And then I can add more down if I need to. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, is it worth it to have this go onto the bus? Or are the low density structures literally just going to be used in the rocket silo for the rocket parts? I honestly don't know. But let's stick with this plan. Let's just move a couple of these things over. Like that. Oops. So that I can make room for more beacons if I want the option to. We'll move this as well. Like that. Whoops, and I forgot to do the X, I only did the copy. Whoops, connected that up wrong. Okay, just delete. Okay, that will be the stone brick. There's the plastic. Okay, and then steel, like I said, I'll fix off camera. Alright, let me pull down the pipes we need for the molten iron and the molten copper. There's the pipes hooked in. Now I'm just going to copy over the beacons, put it right there just in case. Reconnect up those belts, which I forgot. This will become low density structures, and for now, I'm just going to have this belt route northward to eventually feed into the rocket silo instead of the main bus. Unless there becomes a purpose for it later on, we can divert a couple things. Power, let's do a substation like that, that, and that for the beacons. And we'll have this feed into the rocket silo, I guess now. We'll just have it snake up like this. There we go. Oh, and I forgot I'm missing the plastic. That's right. So the plastic line, I think I'm going to move just so it's not snaking as much. So plastic, let's have it go through here, and then maybe we can add another one of these here, and I'll add in the pipes and stuff later. But that would double the low density structure output. We'll go like this, and like that, and upwards like that. There we go. So for plastic, oh, that would mean this needs to go down a tile. Because we need room for the plastic through here. Like that. So plastic, 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 plastic. Okay. Like that. So this becomes the new plastic line. Let's see if we can fit it. We'll copy or move that rather. That goes there. This will get deleted. Let's just delete that there. So rocket fuel will continue on, but the plastic will divert right there. I will clean up that line a little bit later. So I'll add in the pipes here off camera, but let's figure out why plastic's not getting to where it needs to go. And looks like I need to adjust the belts a little bit here. So let's do that there. Buy myself more room like that. There we go. Now plastic should be getting to its destination and feeding at least the 2 foundries here. We'll fix these ones with the pipes a little bit later. But that is some decent progress. It even looks semi-clean, to be honest. So, looks far different than where we ended the prior episode. Prior episode stuff has been completely revamped, if not just completely demolished. But I think this is better progress, and I feel better about where this is kind of ending myself for preparation for the future. So I think that even means I'm setting myself up pretty good for next episode to maybe even get off the planet, or at the very least, launch our first bits of the agricultural science packs into space and figure out what to do with that stuff. So thank you guys for joining me. Thanks for your patience and putting up with my remodel of our Gleba bus, but I will plan on seeing you very soon next time.